Thanks so much for joining me today. My name is Chris, and I want to introduce you to Paranormal Nation. If you are like me, you can't get enough scary and spooky stories. Ever since we were young, myself and my brother Carter loved scary stories. They have always been a way for us to escape for a little while. In the past 5 years or so, we have created numerous stories that we hope you enjoy. This story that you are about to listen to is one of my original creations. Without further ado, let's get spooky. A brand new business. A brand new town. I guess you could say a new me. I had been working as a home inspector for nearly 15 years when I decided to open my own company for home inspections. I had planned this for quite some time and decided to have a new start in a new area at the same time. I was coming out of a marriage of 10 years and I needed a change of scenery. Growing up in North Carolina, I was familiar with both small towns and big cities. I have never been much for large urban areas, but I knew in order to be successful I would need to be closer to Raleigh, or maybe even Charlotte. I found a nice place on the outskirts of Charlotte and made a new home there. Business was good, and I was beginning to get a good reputation with realtors and customers. I was able to get several large jobs, and from there the business took off. But when a realtor whom I had worked with before called me about an inspection on an older home in the suburbs, her voice was a little hesitant. I had no idea this house would change my life forever. This was a nice older home built in 1922 by a wealthy businessman who had passed away in the home in 1958. Over the years, the house had passed from owner to owner. It seemed no one would stay in the home more than a couple of years. The house had been vacant for about 2 years, but it seemed that there were some repairs being done by the current owner. The only answer my realtor friend would give me was the work wasn't going very well. I started my inspection in the basement like always and found some strange things. New walls were only half complete. New heating unit was not finished. I made my notes and wondered what was going on. I was on my way back upstairs when I heard what sounded like a voice under the stairwell. "Hello," I called out. I didn't get a response. Must be hearing things, I thought. I continued back upstairs and made my way around the first floor. I found more of the same unfinished construction. As I walked through the house, I had a feeling that I wasn't alone. I felt like I could turn a corner and someone would be there. It made me nervous and near paranoid. I took a minute and stepped outside to do part of the exterior inspection and to clear my head. As I looked at the upstairs windows, I noticed something odd. This house had another floor above the second floor. It wasn't strange to find in older homes, but there was no record of this house having a third floor. I was able to clear my head and continued the interior inspection. I went through the rest of the first floor with no problems. I thought to myself I must have been worried over nothing. I made my way to the second floor and began again. I felt like someone was staring at me, watching me. I began to feel sick to my stomach the closer I got to the second floor. The temperature must have increased 10 or 15 degrees from one floor to the other. I felt more and more like I was intruding and not welcome. It became dark. A faint smell of pipe tobacco filled the air. There had not been anyone in this house in years. How can there be a smell like that? The more I inspected, the more uneasy I became. Room after room, the smell was still there. I guess maybe it was ingrained in the old wood and wallpaper, or maybe in the rugs that were still there. I was feeling very uneasy about continuing, but I still had another floor to go and a job to do. As I opened the door to the third floor, it became clear to me this was an attic door. The door was smaller than normal. There was a steep staircase. I looked around the walls of the stairs, and it seemed untouched from when it was built. I brushed away cobwebs and found my way to the top. There was a distinct old house smell and a musty odor that is common in older homes' attic spaces. This floor was large with windows on both ends of the space. I felt like I was not welcome and very uneasy, just like before. Then, out of the corner of my eye, something or someone moved. "Hello, who is there?" My heart was pounding and my stomach became upset again. I was nervous just like before, and then a door slammed from the second floor. Who is there? Who is down there? I felt all my energy disappear in an instant. I felt like I was going to pass out. Cold sweat broke out all over me. My palms were sweaty and my breathing became heavy. A cold breeze began to blow in an attic that was at least 90 degrees. I began to shiver. I wasn't sure if it was temperature or fear. Then, from the other side of the attic, a mist appeared. It was heading straight for me. I began to panic, and yet I was frozen in fear. This could not be happening. I was in awe as this mist came straight for me, and I could see eyes form in it, and then a face. It was a man's face, and I could smell the pipe tobacco again. I was awestruck and completely in shock. What do I do? I felt nothing but sorrow at that point. I couldn't figure out why. I think I was feeling what the mist was feeling. Nothing but sorrow and despair. It overwhelmed me and I couldn't shake it. I finally broke free of the hold it had on me and took off to the second floor. I felt it following me, chasing me. I was absolutely terrified, and I had to get out of there as fast as possible. I made it to the front door and slammed it behind me. I fell down in the yard from exhaustion, it seemed. I was able to make my way to my truck parked on the side of the house. I looked up to the third floor window, and there it was. A man standing in the window with the most evil sneer on his face. I jumped in my truck and sped off down the road. A couple of days had passed, and I could still feel the sorrow I felt in that attic. I researched a little more about the history of the house and found out the original owner did smoke a pipe. Not only that, but he also murdered his wife and then committed suicide. It is still hard to put into words the way it felt. But one thing for sure, I will never look at old homes the same way again. Thank you so much for listening to my newest creepy short story. I hope that you would consider liking and subscribing to the channel. Your support means a lot to me, and I appreciate it greatly. I also wanted to let you know that I have brand new merchandise in my store. I will leave a link in the description. That's all for this time, and as always, keep staying spooky.